Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
What is happening today, everybody? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on SwallowsEsportsRadio.com. And I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome to a snowy, icy, cold Birdland. But I'm doing this show right here from the basement of my home, and it's nice and warm down here. I'm thankful for that. And this is the 128th show we are doing here today. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fantastic Thursday show. I can simply not wait for Week 15 of the NFL season. But before I get into Week 15 of the NFL season, I have some breaking news segments to start off today's show. Breaking news number one, New York Giants offensive coordinator Jason Garrett has tested positive for the coronavirus. Tight ends coach Freddie Kitchens will serve as the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants on Sunday night against his former team, the Cleveland Browns. And I have another breaking news segment, which is Alexander Steen of the St. Louis Blues retires at the age of 36 because of back injuries. So let me get into the Freddie Kitchens things first, and then I'll get into the Steen and to my other topics. So with Freddie Kitchens, he used to be the offensive coordinator for Baker Mayfield, and then became the head coach for 1 year in Cleveland, and it didn't work. Cleveland fans are like, what a mess for the New York Giants. And New York Giants fans are like, we're not thrilled that Jason Garrett caught the coronavirus, but some people do not like Jason Garrett basically calling the plays. Well, I said this. I said to someone on Instagram this morning, it's not that I don't question Freddie Kitchens. It's that he wasn't a good head coach. You know the saying, you can make a good coordinator, but some people are just not meant to be head coaches. So what if Freddie Kitchens is just a very good offensive coordinator or assistant coach, just not fit for the head coaching bill? I mean, what I thought the Browns should have done in the first place was kept on Greg Williams and kept Freddie Kitchens the OC instead of making Kitchens the head coach. But now the Giants are going to see what Kitchens is made of as the OC on Sunday. We don't know if it's going to be Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones. I know the receivers aren't great, but maybe the play call will be different. Someone said maybe the running backs will be more used in the passing game. That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. Some people don't think Jason Garrett's creative, but the thing is, Jason Garrett did develop Dak Prescott, Tony Romo. It's just Daniel Jones has regressed. Who in the high seas knows? Okay? Who in the high seas knows what's going to happen? Next thing, with the St. Louis Blues, let's see. So, Alexander Steen, age 36, retires because of back issues. He was a forward. Was drafted 24th overall in the first round in 2002 by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, talk about a great time, hockey town. That's actually the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won a playoff series. So Alexander Steen played in 1,018 games, 245 career goals, 377 career assists, points 622, plus minus 42. Playoffs, 91 games played, 15 goals, 21 assists, 36 points, plus minus of 8. Stanley Cup champion with the 2019 St. Louis Blues when they defeated the Boston Bruins 7 games for the first Stanley Cup in franchise history. I haven't talked. It's been so long I've talked about hockey. But finally, I talk a little bit about it here. Congrats on your retirement. Good hockey player, obviously not a Hall of Famer. But the St. Louis Blues are a good run organization. They're going to be fine from here on out. One of the assistant captains. So they'll just find a different assistant captain. And they also got to find a different captain now that Alex Pietrangelo left the St. Louis Blues in the offseason. And it remains to see what happens in the NHL. And I'll probably preview those and the bold predictions and NHL preview when the time comes and whenever Gary Bettman, the NHLPA, and whoever else decides, okay, enough messing around, it's time to play. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope every single Pittsburgh Steelers fan is on air right now, tuning in, listening in. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you might want to tune into this segment because you're going to love every single word I'm about to say. Ladies and gentlemen, the Baltimore Ravens might be back, and I think they are back. And here's why. They could be dangerous in the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens were dead in the water when they were down 35-34. You remember the whole thing when Trace McSorley had to come in for Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson is dealing with cramps in the locker room because they were dead in the water. The Ravens were dead in the water. Let me tell you something. And Lamar Jackson not come back out. Justin Tucker went out and tried a 60-some-odd-yard field goal. Probably would have somehow made that kick. Probably the game of the year with the Baltimore Ravens before I get to the final score of it. So Lamar Jackson comes in. It's a 44-yard touchdown. Marquise Brown on the 4th down play makes it 42-35 after a 2-point conversion. Then the Browns march down the field, and it's tied at 42. Oh, the Ravens then march down the field. Tucker hits the game-winning 55-yard field goal. Then it's a safety on the kickoff because they were trying to make laterals to Cleveland Browns, and Ravens win 47-42. Now, this is why I wanted Pittsburgh Steelers fans to tune in. You ready for this segment? Ladies and gentlemen, if the Baltimore Ravens play the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the NFL playoffs, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be sent home in the first round. There, I said it. You can mark it down any way you want, and I'm not holding back. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers do not want to play the Baltimore Ravens in the first round. The Baltimore Ravens will send them home packing for the summer, and I can guarantee you that because I've been right about that game twice. I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers twice, and I feel like I will be right here once again if those two teams play in the playoffs. Baltimore Ravens could beat the Buffalo Bills. I'm not sure if they would, but they could beat them. And they seem to have a problem with the Tennessee Titans. I don't think they would beat them. But ladies and gentlemen, I think the Baltimore Ravens have arrived. And I think they're going to be getting hot at the right time. And I wanted to say it. I just felt like I wanted to say it on air today that the Baltimore Ravens would beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. Because it has happened before that teams have got 0-2 against the divisional opponent in the regular season, and then in the third matchup, they beat them. Excuse me. What I mean to say is the 2007 New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys. The New York lost to Dallas twice in the regular season. They beat them in the playoffs, went on to the Super Bowl. Now I'm going to say this. The Baltimore Ravens, I think, could very well beat Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Giants, and the Cincinnati Bengals. They should probably win all three. New York is probably the toughest one on the schedule. And Baltimore also seems to have a problem with Kansas City. I feel like Lamar Jackson's a different quarterback since missing the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like after coming back from the coronavirus, he's been a different quarterback. Maybe he just needed the game off. Who knows? And I like the running back of Gus Edwards and the J.K. Dobbins duo. Tandem, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, top 2 receiving threats. And cornerback Marlon Humphrey's the best thing on his defense. I think he has a great personality. I try responding to him all the time on Twitter. He just never answers me back. He's just very funny. And then, I think the rest of that defense is banged up. A lot of Ravens fans say Humphrey's the only bright spot in his defense. A lot of injuries. You know, you got Calais Campbell, Marcus Peters, Jimmy Smith, amongst other things. And then Greg Roman's offense. They're dialing up pretty well. So let's see what happens with them moving forward. Now, with this loss by the Cleveland Browns, is this the same old Cleveland Browns? For right now, I'm going to say no. For right now. Because they showed a lot of improvement from the first matchup against the Ravens. If you say you're the football team that you are, you go beat the New York Giants and the New York Jets. And then you probably beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in Week 17. That's what I think. But if they do lose to New York Giants, then the pressure's all over them again. And then it's going to be the same old Cleveland Browns. Yes, people can say Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, changed the culture of the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I understand that. But it's not a culture changer until you get to the playoffs. Why do you think Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills his first year? Yeah, I know it was 8-8. I get it. But you made the playoffs. You played in playoff high-pressure situations. That's culture changing. He's leading them to playoffs 3 out of 4 years. That's what Kevin Stefanski needs to do with the Cleveland Browns. You got to get to the playoffs this year, or we're going to talk about the same old narrative with the Cleveland Browns over again. Pressure's not on them this week, but if they lose to the New York Giants, which I don't think is going to happen, then I think the pressure goes back onto them again. Ladies and gentlemen, for right now, I would say the Cleveland Browns are not the same Browns. Yeah, and it's 2020. Things are different and chaotic. But truth be told, if the Cleveland Browns lose this Sunday night to New York Giants, we're going to have these same talks Monday morning on this show. Not only me, but the national media. Keep an eye on it. I'm telling you, keep an eye on the Cleveland Browns game this weekend. Because here's the thing. And here's why the culture's changed. They came back from 14 points down twice. Their back end of the defense stinks from the S to the K. All you got's Myles Garrett, and you got Denzel Ward on the back end. Not bad, but Denzel Ward's projected to be back, and Myles Garrett a favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, money, tight end, Odell Beckham Jr., Austin Hooper, 2 guys you don't need. Trade them for defensive pieces. Because look at the offense. Baker Mayfield, check, they got their franchise quarterback. 2 top tailbacks, check, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. 3 good wide receivers, Jarvis Landry, Rashad Higgins, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, check, check, check. 2 tight ends, David Njoku, check, Harrison Bryant, check. Good offensive line, check, you got your offense in place. Odell Beckham Jr. and Austin Hooper no longer need to be in Cleveland. Trade them for defense. You need some linebackers help in the secondary. And Greedy Williams hasn't been great. There's some people that don't even belong on that defensive backfield for the Cleveland Browns. So, that's going to be interesting to see. We will see, because he used to be the Minnesota Vikings offense coordinator last year, Kevin Stefanski. And let's see if the Cleveland Browns have really changed or not. So let me get into very quickly here this game recap, statistically wise, from the Ravens to the Cleveland Browns. So it's 47-42 win for the Baltimore Ravens over the Cleveland Browns, and potentially what I thought was the game of the year in the NFL. Mark Jackson completed 11-17, 163 yards, and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 124 yards and 9 carries, 2 touchdowns. Trace McSorley completed 1 of 4 passes for 13 yards. He also rushed for 1 yard on 2 carries. J.K. Dobbins rushed for 53 yards on 13 carries and a touchdown, 2-point conversion. Gus Edwards rushed for 49 yards and 7 carries and 2 touchdowns. He also caught 1 pass for 4 yards receiving. Justice Hill rushed for 4 yards on 1 carry. Mark Andrews caught 5 passes for 78 yards receiving. Marquise Brown caught 2 passes for 50 yards receiving and a touchdown. Willie Snead-IV caught 3 passes for 29 yards receiving. Miles Boykin caught 1 pass for 15 yards receiving. Now Boykin and Brown are on the coronavirus list. They could come back for Sunday, but let's see if they actually do. Baker Mayfield completed 28 of 47 passes for 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He also rushed for 23 yards on 5 carries and a touchdown. Nick Chubb rushed for 82 yards and 17 carries and 2 touchdowns. Thanks by his performance, I'm able to be in the semifinals in my Yahoo League, and I'm already out in my ESPN League. He also caught 2 passes for 21 yards receiving. Kareem Hunt rushed for 33 yards on 6 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 6 passes for 77 yards receiving and a touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones caught 3 passes for 74 yards receiving and a 2-point conversion. Rashard Higgins caught 6 passes for 68 yards receiving and a touchdown. Jarvis Landry caught 6 passes for 52 yards receiving. David Njoku caught 3 passes for 45 yards receiving. Harrison Bryant caught 3 passes for 18 yards receiving. Next up on the agenda is how about Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Milwaukee Bucks forward, getting a super max contract. Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of the best forwards in the NBA, and I'm telling you, this was interesting. A 5-year, $228 million mega dollar contract. The max contract you can get from the Milwaukee Bucks. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, the heart and soul of the Milwaukee Bucks, is now locked up. And now you could probably attract free agents. Or what this does is, if it doesn't work out by after year 3, you could trade them for picks and reload it or rebuild. So now you're in the championship window for the next 4 years in Milwaukee. And teams like the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Toronto Raptors, now they're all out on Giannis because they're not going to be able to get him. He hasn't been to an NBA Finals appearance yet. He needs to. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's just got to work on that outside shot. Very physical, very tough. He's a freak down the middle, but if you get the right defenders on him and the right schematics on him, he's very shaky. So, this was reported by Shams Charania, The Athletic, as well here with his contract. And Giannis Antetokounmpo in 63 games last season scored 29.5 points per game, 13.6 rebounds per game, 5.6 assists per game, 1 block, and 1 steal. That's where his numbers last year. Giannis Antetokounmpo now needs to get to an NBA Finals and win a championship in this time here. But it's going to be tough. You got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert in the Brooklyn Nets, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris of the Philadelphia 76ers. And you also got the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero were in the finals last year. Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Miami Heat. Those are the 3 teams you got to worry about. Sixers, Nets, Heat. We'll see where it goes. All right, on from my NBA talk. Now we are entering Week 15 of the NFL season. My record last week was 10-6 on the year. So far this season, my record is 134, 74-1. We are now entering the final 3 weeks of the NFL regular season, and there are a bunch of clinching scenarios this weekend. It is going to be interesting to see how these playoff races very much heat up. Tonight's game, Thursday night's matchup between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Vegas Raiders. This will be the featured Thursday night football game to see this week. The Los Angeles Chargers are looking to spoil the Las Vegas Raiders' playoff hopes. Remember in 2011 where the Raiders had a chance to make it to playoffs, but Philip Rivers, when they were the San Diego Chargers, spoiled their chances? Well, this is what Justin Herbert could do here tonight. He could carve up this Raiders defense, but Derek Carr will be up to the task to respond. Los Angeles has more talent, in my opinion, than Vegas does, despite the 7-6 record for Vegas and a 4-9 record for Los Angeles. Austin Eckler and Josh Jacobs will be a very interesting running back matchup. Eckler's expected to play. Keenan Allen is a game-time decision if he can't go. And also Mike Williams is also a game-time decision. Tyron Johnson and Jalen Guyton are 2 guys. For fantasy purposes, you might want to pick up. I might have to keep an eye on that later because I have Keenan Allen. And Hunter Henry, the tight end for the Chargers, is another primary target for Herbert. Keep an eye on that. Nelson Aguilar, as I feel like Derek Carr's favorite target, along with Darren Waller. The major difference in this football game is going to be head coach John Gruden for the Las Vegas Raiders and Anthony Lynn for the Los Angeles Chargers. The Las Vegas Raiders will take down the Los Angeles Chargers by a final score of 30-26. Game of the week: the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New Orleans Saints. This could very well be the primary Super Bowl matchup. The New Orleans Saints defense is going to give Patrick Mahomes, I think, some problems. And here's an interesting stat from First Things First, Nick Wright, the most obnoxious Kansas City Chiefs fan you're going to meet. The Kansas City Chiefs are 26th ranked rushing defense in the NFL. Translation: read option with Taysom Hill if Drew Brees is out, and a lot of Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray, and a lot of Patrick Mahomes potentially on the sidelines. And don't tell me for 1 second that the New Orleans Saints were not looking ahead to this matchup because they were caught in a trap game with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles on the road last week. Kansas City's mistakes, I feel like, is going to catch up to them this week. Even though the Saints will most likely not have Drew Brees, despite coming off of IR with the ribs. I still think he's a week or 2 away. Should they start Jameis Winston? Maybe, maybe not. But this week, you got to go Taysom Hill. 26th ranked? Good luck stopping that read option. So, Le'Veon Bell, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce will be Kansas City's primary focus offensively, and you got to try and stop that if you're the Saints. You got Marshawn Lattimore, Malcolm Jenkins, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan. You got some studs on that defense. And on the Saints side of things, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Jared Cook. I think some of those guys might have big days. There will be New Orleans' focus offensively. And the New Orleans Saints will take down the Kansas City Chiefs this week by a final score of 28-27. The upset special of the week: the San Francisco 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys. The San Francisco 49ers do not have a reliable quarterback in Nick Mullins, and they miss Jimmy Garoppolo desperately. The Dallas Cowboys at least have Andy Dalton, even though Dak Prescott's been sidelined despite his injury. And the Dallas Cowboys do miss Dak Prescott, and they're over this season. Dallas has more reliable offensive weapons at this point in time than San Francisco does. George Kittle may return off of IR this week. It may not be 100%, Deebo Samuel's done for the year. You'll still have Raheem Mostert, Jeffrey Wilson. Brandon Ayuk has been a very nice rookie wide receiver for the 49ers. And then for the Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. Ezekiel Elliott's not been the same this year. That contract's not looking very good. Tony Pollard's been a better running back. And the Dallas Cowboys will take down the San Francisco 49ers, even though I think Kyle Shanahan's a better coach than Mike McCarthy. And the final score in this game will be by a final score of 31-26. Blowout of the week. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are going to be getting hot at the right time. This is going to be very intriguing moving forward. Baltimore and Lamar Jackson will be riding the hot wave. The Ravens will be facing a very bad Jacksonville Jaguars football team, and Calais Campbell will be looking to make noise against his former team. This is the first time he's played them since he got traded from them in the offseason. Gardner Minshew II will be the starting quarterback once again for Jacksonville. The Baltimore Ravens will take down the Jacksonville Jaguars by a final score of 38-10. So, usually when we get to week 15 or week 16, we'll usually have some Saturday night primetime games. That's what we have here. So, first up, Buffalo Bills versus the Denver Broncos. Josh Allen is going to have fun throwing the football in the high altitude of Denver, Colorado. The Buffalo Bills could very well be involved in a trap game on Saturday afternoon after they had a big win against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. And it's usually not easy for teams to go to the high altitude, especially at this late in the season. Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos could very well pull off an upset here. But I don't think it is going to happen. Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis will be in their natural habitat on the outside and in the slot. And I think they're going to make some big plays. Buffalo's defense will force turnovers, and Denver's defense won't, and I think that's going to be the difference. They say you got to win the turnover battle at this time and at this point in the season. The Buffalo Bills and Sean McDermott's bunch will take down the Denver Broncos and Vic Fangio's bunch by a final score of 23-17. The Carolina Panthers versus the Green Bay Packers. The Carolina Panthers are a young football team coached by Matt Rule, and they play hard, but the Green Bay Packers, coached by Matt LaFleur, want to keep an eye on the number one seed in the NFC. This is the other Saturday night game. Aaron Rodgers is on an MVP campaign this season. Aaron Jones, Alan Lazard, Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling are helping out Rodgers this season. Teddy Bridgewater will be blitzed by Green Bay's defense. Mike Davis will start again over Christian McCaffrey, most likely. Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, who's expected to come off the coronavirus list this week, and Robbie Anderson are Carolina's top 3 wide receiving targets. The Green Bay Packers will take down the Carolina Panthers by a final score of 31-14. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Washington football team. The Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson will be in for a tough game against Chase Young and the Washington football team front, but Washington may not have Alex Smith and might have to start Dwayne Haskins. Smith is dealing with a calf injury. That would be great news for Seattle's defense because Haskins can't do anything compared to Smith. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and David Moore could be good in the passing game for the Seahawks this week. The Washington football team's defensive secondary is not very good, but their front seven is. Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde is the very solid running back duo for Seattle. As for the Washington football team itself, Terry McLaurin, Cam Sims, and Steven Sims are not as good as Seattle's receiving core. And Antonio Gibson might be back this week, and that's good news for Washington. J.D. McKissick will get most of the carries if that's the case, if Gibson can't play. Pete Carroll's squad in the Seattle Seahawks will take down Ron Rivera's squad in the Washington football team by a final score of 20-17. The Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. This football game is the last hope for the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings playoff chances. Mitchell Trubisky looked much better, and Kirk Cousins will need to be as good as well. Dalvin Cook is the key to the Minnesota Vikings playoffs hopes. The heartbeat of the Minnesota Vikings. And then as for the Chicago Bears offensively, you don't have Terry Cohen, but you got Cordero Patterson. You also have David Montgomery. You got rid of Lamar Miller. You have Allen Robinson II, Darnell Mooney, Anthony Miller. You got Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham at tight end. And also for the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Chad Bebe, Kyle Rudolph. Alexander Madison has not played at running back, but you have Ert Smith Jr. and Kyle Rudolph at tight end. And Smith Jr. is probably going to be the reason why Rudolph gets traded from the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. But this game, with both of these teams being at 6-7, this is the last chance for either of these teams to make a playoff push. The loser's basically all but out. So in this game, the Chicago Bears will take down the Minnesota Vikings by a final score of 23-20. New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins. The New England Patriots will not be able to win the AFC East for the first time since the 2008 season, and that was when they were without Tom Brady for the entire season because he had a torn ACL, and they went 11-5 with Matt Castle, and they missed the playoffs due to not having the proper tiebreakers that regular season. That was the year the Miami Dolphins won the AFC East. New England needs to win out with Cam Newton, and they also need a lot of help to make it to the playoffs. As for the Miami Dolphins, they are currently the 7th seed in the AFC, and Miami is in a must-win situation. Tua Tagovailoa will get the job done for Brian Flores' bunch, and I know a lot of people say, well, Bill Belichick usually does a number on rookie quarterbacks. Yeah, that's true. Look what he did to Justin Herbert. He shut him out. But let me just say something with Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa. First of all, Tua Tagovailoa has a 10 times better head coach than Brian Flores than Justin Herbert has with Anthony Lynn. Let's just put that out of the way. Number 2, Flores knows a lot of tendencies about Bill Belichick that Anthony Lynn simply does not have any squat idea about. Because you remember that playoff game where they got crushed when they were the Los Angeles Chargers? You remember that? Yeah, they got annihilated because Lynn got outcoached by Belichick. But Flores and Belichick, that might be an interesting coaching matchup because Flores knows his stuff. And I truly believe that the Miami Dolphins will take down the New England Patriots on the last-second field goal by a final score of 23-20. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to keep going and keep winning. Tampa Bay could be in a track game this weekend on the road. The Atlanta Falcons are playing better despite losing some close games. If Atlanta could get any pass rush, they will rattle Tom Brady and vice versa. Matt Ryan could be in for a very rough day as well for the Atlanta Falcons. The Buccaneers should win this football game, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown is a solid wide receiver threesome, including Scotty Miller makes it a foursome squad. And then you got Julio Jones, Russell Gage, and Calvin Ridley for the Atlanta Falcons. Hayden Hurst and Rob Gronkowski are solid tight ends. Ronald Jones II's out of this game, so expect Leonard Fournette. Jones II's on the coronavirus list. Fournette is a beast. And maybe the one-game sit will teach him a lesson. Todd Gurley II won't make an impact on the ground game. And I don't think there's going to be much rushing yards for Tampa Bay and Atlanta. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take down the Atlanta Falcons by a final score of 21-16. The Detroit Lions versus the Tennessee Titans. If Matthew Stafford can't play for the Detroit Lions this upcoming weekend, then Chase Daniel will get the start for Detroit. Tennessee has been over 500 for the past 5 seasons. If they win this football game on Sunday, Titans will have won at least 10 games for the first time since going 13-3 in 2008. Yeah, the last 4 years, 9-7, 9-7, 9-7, 9-7. It's like if I was gonna try to do the mediocrity and consistency in the Tennessee Titans had a baby, you get 9-7. So, what else is there? Derrick Henry is just 470 yards away from having 2,000 rushing yards during the 2020 NFL regular season. Ryan Tannehill will be airing it out most likely to Corey Davis and A.J. Brown and other players like Khalif Raymond, Jonnu Smith, Jeff Swaim, and Michael Pruitt. Anthony Ferguson is also solid tight end as well here for the Tennessee Titans. And keep an eye on Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard for Tennessee because they are the defensive catalysts. And outside linebackers, Coach Shane Bowers has been okay calling defensive players. They would have been better off with an actual defense coordinator like a Wade Phillips, Matt Patricia. I've been on and on with that. But it's not going to matter much. The Tennessee Titans could get in the playoffs this weekend with the win of the Baltimore Ravens. I don't see it. Mike Vrabel just wants to have his football team stay focused. He made a joke during his presser this week. I follow Tennessee Titans on Twitter, and it's like, Mike Vrabel wants to be in on all the scenarios he said. And the Tennessee Titans will take down Detroit Lions by a final score of 34-17. The Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Houston Texans defense got gashed against the Chicago Bears on the road last weekend. If Houston gets gashed against a Mitchell Trubisky Chicago team, what makes you think that they will fare any better against a top-heavy running game in Indianapolis, along with Phillip Rivers at the quarterback position? Because let's look. Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Wilkins. Let's just start with those players. For the Indianapolis Colts and Frank Reich's bunch. Excuse me. You cannot tell me that the Indianapolis Colts are not going to run it down Houston's throats all day. The Houston Texans defense is one of the worst in the NFL, and you cannot deny the fact that the Houston Texans suck. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. I meant they stink. It's terrible. The defense is downright terrible. My apologies for saying that. I meant it stinks. It's one of the worst running attacks in the league. You gotta make it much better. And let me just say the heat of the moment, because let me say this. The Houston Texans are failing Deshaun Watson. Will Fuller V gets suspended. All you got's Kike Kute. He gets hurt last week on the road against the Bears. And Romeo Crennel is going to get outmatched and outcoached. You can take it to the bank on that one. Because let me tell you something. The Chicago Bears exploited the Houston Texans' problems. They really did. And now Indianapolis will do the same. The Indianapolis Colts will take down the Houston Texans by a final score of 31-13. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Arizona Cardinals. It will be the battle of the mobile quarterbacks between Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. Hurts won his first career game against the New Orleans Saints at home last weekend in place of Carson Wentz. The Arizona Cardinals will be ready and prepared because they face Kyler Murray in practice all the time. Philadelphia is charged up, and Arizona completely shut down the New York Giants on the road on Sunday. Doug Peterson is honestly a better head coach at football than Cliff Kingsbury is. Alshon Jeffrey for Philadelphia and DeAndre Hopkins for Arizona are both going to have big games at the wide receiver position. Miles Sanders might go over 100 yards rushing once again, and Kenyon Drake for Arizona might go over 100 yards rushing once again. And this is where the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be so charged up without Carson once again, and the Philadelphia Eagles will take down the Arizona Cardinals by a final score of 24-23. The New York Jets versus the Los Angeles Rams. This game is probably over before it even begins. The Los Angeles Rams clinch a playoff berth before they even win. I should just put an X mark black and Sharpie. X marks the spot before this game kicks off. Dude, let me just say something. If I actually did that, on this show right now, I don't have a Sharpie in front of me. On my script, if I put an X right next to the Los Angeles Rams name, and if I actually jinxed it, you gotta say jinxes are real. But I'm just saying that I don't think it's gonna that they will lose even if I did that. That just tells you how bad the New York Jets are. They completely stink from the S to the K. I'm just gonna say the Los Angeles Rams defense is gonna have its way with the New York Jets offense. That's all I have to say. The New York Jets are obviously tanking for the number 1 pick. The Los Angeles Rams are going to find ways to keep winning, and they may get a couple of defensive touchdowns this football game as well. Sam Darnold and Jared Goff are turnover prone, but the Rams defense will take care of Goff, and the Jets defense won't take care of Darnold. Aaron Donald is going to be a beast for Los Angeles' defense, and so will Marcus May for New York's defense. The Los Angeles Rams will smoke away the New York Jets by a final score of 31-3. Cleveland Browns versus the New York Giants. This is going to be a very interesting primetime game on Sunday Night Football. Now remember, this game got flexed out for the San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys. The Cleveland Browns are coming off an emotional loss at home against the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football. The New York Giants are looking to regain first place in the NFC East if that's possible by the end of the night. I feel like these two teams are even in a lot of ways. The line of scrimmage is very good for Cleveland and New York. Kevin Stefanski is a very good head coach, and so is Joe Judge. The difference in this game is going to be Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt versus Daniel Jones, Wayne Gallman Jr., Alfred Morris. And Colt McCoy might be the starter over Jones because he's re-aggravated his legs. And now you got to start to question, McCoy wins again on Sunday. How do you pull Daniel Jones? How do you put Daniel Jones back in the lineup? And now you got to wonder if you're the New York Giants coaching staff, we need to draft a quarterback. And I might have to come out in the air on Monday if the Daniel Jones doesn't play, and you have Colt McCoy playing, you're like, guys, and if Dave Gettleman, general manager, keeps his job, yeah, they might be married to Daniel Jones, but Joe Judge might have a more say on personnel, and we're like, is this our guy? But then yet again, they don't have receivers that could create separation. If you sign a guy like Allen Robinson II from the Chicago Bears, and maybe drafted Devonta Smith, a wide receiver from Alabama, or his teammate Jalen Waddle from Alabama, or maybe you get Jamar Chase from LSU, who I've seen in mock drafts, Rashad Bateman, a wide receiver for Minnesota. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle, Alabama, Jamar Chase of LSU, and Rashad Bateman of Minnesota. And Rashad Bateman of Minnesota could be very underrated. So, I believe that the Cleveland Browns will take down the New York Giants by a final score of 24-23, and it's also the Freddie Kitchens revenge game. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense will be ready to rake against the Cincinnati Bengals offense. As they say, we are on to Cincinnati. Pittsburgh and Ben Roethlisberger will look to take care of Cincinnati and Brandon Allen early and often. The Steelers are not a poverty franchise, no matter how many times I pick on them, and the Bengals are a poverty franchise. Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and James Washington is a better wide receiver foursome than A.J. Green, John Ross, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. James Conner will outrush Giovanni Bernard. The Pittsburgh Steelers will win over the Cincinnati Bengals easily and in convincing fashion by a final score of 30-10 on Monday Night Football. So once again, the Cleveland Browns will take down the New York Giants by a final score of 24-23, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will win over the Cincinnati Bengals easily and in convincing fashion by a final score of 38-10. So here are my bold predictions for week number 15. Number 1, Jalen Hurts will outplay Kyler Murray. Number 2, Mitchell Trubisky outplays Kirk Cousins. Number 3, the Ravens will rush for over 250 yards against the Jaguars. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers will throw for 4 touchdowns in the first half against the Panthers. Number 5, the Los Angeles Rams will have more touchdowns on defense than the New York Jets offense will account for. So those are my 5 bold predictions for this week. So, we are now ready for my top 10 NFL teams entering week number 15. Number 10, the Seattle Seahawks. They barely make it on my list. The only reason why they're still on my list, Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, and they blew out the New York Jets, which is what good teams are supposed to do. That would have been a really bad punishment if I knocked them out of the top 10. I considered the Baltimore Ravens on this list, but I do not have room for them this week. Maybe there will be room for them next week, but there's not this week. So the Seattle Seahawks, they're also going to be effective running the football moving forward. They're a very good NFL team. It's not a surprise, a Super Bowl threat in the NFC. Number 9, the Indianapolis Colts. Frank Reich, Matt Eberflus, as I say every week, 2 of the best in-game coaching adjusters in the NFL, and I say it on the show all the time. There are some things I have to repeat to the audience because I want to make sure I drill it in their heads like there's no tomorrow, right? So this is one of my stances that I'm always about. Consistency with a lot of takes, and there's no backtracking it. And you also got a very good running game and very good defensive front, and Phillip Rivers has played better than I expected this season. Number 8, the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, you lost to the Baltimore Ravens twice, but for now, I still think you're a top 10 team. You changed a lot of things with Kevin Stefanski's new head coach in his first year, coming over from the Minnesota Vikings as the offense coordinator with Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, among other things. I mean, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt's probably one of the most best running back tandems in the NFL. And his offense has been better without Odell Beckham Jr. As I've said, you trade him, you trade Austin Hooper, you fix up the back end of the defense. Number 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here come the Steeler fans crying wolf to me because I only have them another 7. Just play the song Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake while you're at it. No, I'm not in and on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Have you seen them the last 2 weeks? They've looked like they stink from the S to the K. Ben Roethlisberger hasn't played the same. He's aging like Tom Brady did last year with the New England Patriots. They can't run the football. They're not the same defensively without Robert Spinelli, Devin Bush, and Bud Dupree. All you gotta let this TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Randy Fetchner is a terrible offensive coordinator. Keith Butler's a good defensive coordinator. And there were jokes by Steeler fans that Ben Roethlisberger's son, who's 8 years old, they say he'd be a better offensive coordinator than the current Steelers offensive coordinator they have right now. I mean, Mike Tomlin's doing the best he can right now, but this team is aging. And there was a poll this morning that I posted on my Instagram story and my Snapchat story. The question was, how far will the Pittsburgh Steelers go in the playoffs? And I voted they would go one and done. Criticize me all you want. But I'm going to tell you why that might be the case, maybe in a couple of minutes. Next up, number 6, the Los Angeles Rams. Jared Goff, he needs the ball more in his hands. Cam Akers is coming along. A very solid defense for Los Angeles. Also, Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and he has the same record as Bill Belichick in the last 61 games at 42 2-19. You realize how good you have to be to have that winning percentage? And everyone's like, the Los Angeles Rams are down, and I thought they were going to be down last year. But look at them now this year. They're on pace to win the NFC West and maybe get to the Super Bowl, and maybe you're going to have to go through New Orleans with the Saints and through Green Bay at Lambeau Field with the Packers. Well, I'll tell you something. Even in the cold at Lambeau Field, that defense would travel. I don't know how comfortable Jared Goff would be, but that's something to keep an eye on if the Rams have to go to the Packers at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Because Lambeau Field in the frozen tundra in January, it's cold. Number 5, the Tennessee Titans. Best running back in the game, Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill. Arthur Smith, very good offensive coordinator, probably going to get interviews for head coaching jobs. Mike Vrabel. Defense is a little shaky, but you got a top 5 offense, second in rushing yards. Yeah, it's only 21st in passing, but it's a good mix and combination. You also got A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Anthony Fersker, Michael Pruitt, Jonnu Smith, Jeff Swaim at tight end. Also, Khalif Raymond will be an X factor down the stretch at the wide receiver position. And Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Byard, and Rashad Evans, a very good inside linebacker for Tennessee. Number 4, the New Orleans Saints. They were number 1 last week. I dropped them just because of the lost Philadelphia Eagles. I really didn't want to punish the Saints too much because I felt like it was a trap game, and personally I believe they're going to win this week. I just think it's one of those things in the NFL where you get caught looking ahead. You remember a couple years ago when the Steelers lost to a 2-win Raiders team but beat the eventual Super Bowl champions, New England Patriots, the next week? That's what I feel like is going to happen here with the New Orleans Saints this week. Even without Drew Brees, I feel like it's going to happen. Still well coached by Sean Payton. You got Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and the list goes on and on. That's how I feel about the New Orleans Saints. Number 3, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan, enough said on offense. Matt LaFleur, solid head coach, and I believe Green Bay could get to the Super Bowl this year as long as the defense plays good enough. And I think this is the first time in a while that Green Bay's defense has been in the middle of the pack, and it has been good enough for Aaron Rodgers. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, a solid running back tandem, well coached by Sean McDermott. The Buffalo Bills, I think, are going to be a very dangerous team in the playoffs, but it's all going to depend on Josh Allen and prime time and a bunch of other key factors. And as the playoffs are going to be about this year, it's all about matchups. There are no questions asked. And it could very well clinch the AFC East this weekend, and it'd be the first time since the 1995 season that would happen. And the number 1 team, they're back in number 1 for the moment, the Kansas City Chiefs. What else do I need to say? Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes, Steve Spagnuolo, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, when you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, then you're in good shape. So let me go over the top 10 NFL teams just one more time. Number 10, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 9, the Indianapolis Colts. Number 8, the Cleveland Browns. Number 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 6, Los Angeles Rams. Number 5, the Tennessee Titans. Number 4, the New Orleans Saints. Number 3, the Green Bay Packers. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. And number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. So in these final 5 minutes, I figured I have a little time on my hands. So with the season ended today, here are your matchups. Let's start with the AFC. Miami Dolphins as the 7th seed versus the number 2 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. I would take the number 7 seed Miami Dolphins to beat Pittsburgh, because I like their defense and I like Tua Tagovailoa. Next matchup, Indianapolis Colts number 6 versus number 3 Buffalo Bills. I would take the Buffalo Bills in a close game. I think the Colts can win. But I would take Buffalo because the difference, I think, is Josh Allen over Phillip Rivers. Number 5 Cleveland Browns versus number 4 Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans. The Titans would not allow that to happen again. Now my AFC Divisional Round. Miami versus Kansas City. Kansas City over Miami. Tennessee goes to Buffalo this time. But this time, I still think Tennessee will win because I think Derrick Henry would run it all day long on Buffalo. So now you get to the AFC Championship. Aha! So it's the rematch I've been calling along. I'll take Kansas City. That'd probably be like a 45-38 kind of like matchup. Kind of game with no defense being played. Now let's get to the NFC side. Number 7 Arizona Cardinals versus number 2 New Orleans Saints. I'll take the Saints in a big time blowout. Next up, number 6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus number 3 seed Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Rams because Tom Brady does not like to face pressure. Number 5 seed Seattle Seahawks versus the number 4 seed the Washington Football Team. I would take the Seattle Seahawks over Washington here. So then, let's go to the NFC Divisional Round. Seattle, Green Bay. I'll take the Green Bay Packers. And then, how about Los Angeles and New Orleans? I'm going with the Rams over the Saints. Because I think the Rams, are a better team 2 years ago. I meant this year than they were 2 years ago. So now you got the Rams and the Packers in the NFC Championship, and I would take the Green Bay Packers. So Packers Chiefs, I would probably take the Chiefs right now. So you got Rodgers as an MVP, Mahomes as an MVP. That's how I feel like that would potentially be. So you got the Baltimore Ravens, Las Vegas Raiders, and the New England Patriots in the hunt in the AFC. And also in the hunt in the NFC, you have obviously in the NFC least, the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they're all still alive. The Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears. I mean, that's what you got left basically in the NFC. Though it might be the 7 teams that are currently in right now. I mean, it remains to be seen. And I think there's going to be a lot of shaking up this weekend in the playoff picture. Because we're in the final 3 weeks, and then we'll be in the final 2 weeks, and then week 17. So what I'm going to find interesting next week is I'm probably going to have some sort of debate. Is okay, what's going to be the week 17 Sunday Night Football game if we have any? I remember a couple of years ago, we simply did not have any Sunday Night Football games in week 17. And that's something to keep an eye on moving forward. And also, ladies and gentlemen, give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram because we are growing with followers, listeners, and viewers. And it's just a fun time for 12OZ Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, I am out of time here. Thanks for tuning in Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend as well here. Though nonetheless, I'll be back on the air at the same time Monday, go over Week 15 NFL game recaps for Thursday Night Football, Sunday day, and Sunday Night Football. Preview the NBA regular season. Well, I previewed the regular season, but the games that are coming up on Tuesday in the week with opening week across the NBA, NHL, and MLB offseason updates, though, nonetheless. And though, nonetheless, we'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend here. Take care.
Are you ready for the King of the Ice? Pete's Power Plays with Philly Pete starts now on 12 Ounce Sports.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Thursday, December 17th, 2020 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only, King of the Ice himself, Philly Pete, and we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Hope everyone is having a great Thursday afternoon. We just got killed by this snowstorm the other day. Luckily enough, not too much snow, more slush than anything, so I hope everyone is taking precautions about this. Be careful when you're driving to work. And I hope everyone, again, is having a great afternoon. My rising shiners out west. I'm sure you're enjoying that sun out there in the West Coast, California, wherever it may be. But welcome aboard to today's episode of Pete's Power Plays. This show, as always, is sponsored by MyBookie.ag. Sports are all back here, ladies and gentlemen. And what better way to start cashing out large than go to MyBookie.ag. When doing so, use the promo code 12OunceSports, 12OZ Sports, all caps, no spaces, when you're signing up for an account today. Once again, mybookie.ag. Use the promo code 12OunceSports, 12OZ Sports, all caps, no spaces. Once again, they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. And always remember to gamble responsibly. Next up, Zingo TV, Z-I-N-G-O, Zingo TV, channel 761. Those of you that are tuning in right now, welcome aboard to today's episode, last day of the week. And of course, wrapping up the weeks-long episodes of Pete's Power Plays. Those that don't have Zingo TV, I highly recommend you get it. It is a free, ladies and gentlemen, free app. When you download it on any streaming device, they have it on every platform out there, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, whatever it may be. Google Chromecast even has that. So again, download the app. It's free, Zingo TV, and tune in to channel 761 right now. That's 761, and I am live. I'm live when you hit up that channel. So once again, Zingo TV, channel 761. And last but not least, Amazon. All right, holidays are here. We got about a week till Christmas Eve, 8 days to Christmas Day. You know, I'm hoping by now a lot of you took advantage of the Amazon URL that we had our website. And if not, you know, again, Amazon Prime is in full force as we speak. So whether it's birthdays, miscellaneous stuff, you know, just everything in general, Christmas, of course, last minute shoppers that are procrastinating to the end of, basically to the day before Christmas, and are still getting gifts for their loved ones, celebrations, anything in general, anniversaries, go to www.12ouncesportsradio.com/Amazon. Once again, it's www.12ouncesportsradio.com/Amazon. Go ahead and check that out today. So, like I said yesterday, I finished off the Seattle Kraken expansion draft 1.0 of my predictions, and I thought it went pretty well. Okay, I thought it went pretty good. A couple surprises. I'm sure a lot of you out there enjoyed that segment of my show. And I also brought on Lou Gamlin, the host of the Captain Lou's Extravaganza show, also on 12 Ounce Sports. And we talked AEW wrestling. So we had a great action-packed day yesterday, and I appreciate you all tuning in. So today, I'm going to talk about more NHL news, a little bit more updates as we speak as of this morning. And I'm going to go over my top 15 NHL forwards as well. And of course, last but not least, we have the Chargers and the Vegas Raiders tonight. So I'll give you my Thursday night daily fantasy player locks, a little bit of an update. And of course, Sunday NFL DFS. We are in the semifinals of playoffs. So I will give you the correct players to put in your lineups to not only put in your fantasy football lineups in the semifinals, but also when you're on DraftKings and FanDuels, and I will lead you to the promised land. So, like I said, and now key additions here, Mike Williams is out for the Chargers tonight, and Keenan Allen, I know he's a very hot commodity in fantasy football right now because I have him in a few leagues. He is a game time decision, and with a hamstring injury, and it looks like if he does play, it's going to be very limited. So if I were you guys and ladies that do play fantasy and have Keenan Allen out there, I would likely bench him just because you don't know what you're going to expect from him tonight. Again, he is on a limited basis, and to me, that doesn't look good whatsoever. So a couple pickups out there. You have Guyton as well, and you have Guyton and then you have another receiver as well of Tyron Johnson as well. So Tyron Johnson and Guyton are the receivers 3 and 4. So if, like I said, Michael Williams is out and if Keenan Allen is out as well, you guys should simply pick up these 2 players. Vegas is missing a few of their defenders as well, and I think they have 4 or 5 key defenseman guys out. So Herbert all day. I do expect you all to start Herbert as you should, and give an add up to Tyron Johnson and Guyton as well as the receivers 3 and 4, and of course Hunter Henry. I think he's going to get a lot of looks here tonight, and Eckler is good to go as well. So keep him in your lineups as we speak. So January 13th, start the season, is still the target, even as the date draws closer. Okay, now we're looking at the calendar and realizing the day is December 17th, and thinking to ourselves, well, there's no way the NHL is starting games in less than a month. Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's still the plan. The NHL and NHLPA continue to hammer away framework for a 2020-2021 season, but obviously there are a number of logistics to take care of. But, of course, per Pierre LeBrun, he just put this out as well not too long ago, about 3 hours ago, but as he says, and I quote, as much as it feels like it's pushing it, both NHL and NHLPA feel January 13th start date is still in the cards at this hour. Both sides still working away on completing season documents, but however, remind yourselves that both BOG vote and NHLPA exec board votes will be needed if the documents are done. Now, under the reported target, teams that did not take part in the bubble would report to training camp by the end of the calendar year, while the 24 bubble teams would begin training camps around January 3rd, right after the New Year. But, of course, all in all, there's still a lot to take care of, but it appears that all parties have their eye on the same goal, which obviously is arguably the matter of chief importance, and also the key date of January 13th, again, which is basically on arrival as we speak, and of course a 56-game schedule. So there you have it. Now, before I get into my top 15, I probably won't talk about all top 15 players. I'll try my best to. If not, again, it will come by on Tuesday. I'm sorry, yeah, on next Tuesday I will give you all the rest. So top 15 here, I have a notable mention here at number from 20 to 16. Notable mentions here. Steven Stamkos, Mark Stone, Ryan O'Reilly, Sebastian Aho, and Brad Marchand. They did not quite make the list as my top 15 NHL forwards, but notable mentions always count as something. So coming in at number 15, I have Elias Pettersson, the Vancouver Canucks. All right, I mean, what can I say? A 22-year-old scored 66 points in his first 2 NHL seasons. He had 27 goals, 39 assists in 68 games last season when he scored 18 points, which was 7 goals and 11 assists in 17 postseason games to help the Canucks reach the Western Conference second round for the first time since losing the Cup final in 2011. Now, Patterson won the Calder Trophy, in 2018-2019 when he had 28 goals and 38 assists in 71 games. So, I mean, obviously this kid is proven to be one of the best, and that's why he's on my top 15 list here. And that coming number 15 again, Elias Pettersson. He had a great postseason as well. We can't forget about the run that they did until they fell short to the Dallas Stars. But they took, like I said, I mean, it's crazy what they did, and this Vancouver Canucks team is going to be, again, very special. I know they lost to Foley, but a lot of different changes on that franchise. But I still think they are a good postseason team, and of course, a wild card for me to win the Western Conference and the Stanley Cup. So stay tuned. Coming at number 14, I have Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and like I said, it's Malkin scored 74 points. All right, 25 goals, 49 assists in 55 games last season. Pretty decent outing for Malkin. Obviously, he's getting up there in age as well with Crosby. But he averaging 1.35 points per game, which was tied with McKinnon for 5th in the NHL. The 34-year-old center is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 2009, 2016, and 2017, who has won the Hart Trophy, Conn Smythe, and Art Ross twice. Malkin is third in the NHL since 2006, 2007 behind Ovechkin and Crosby with well over 1,000 points, and to be exact, 1,076 points in 907 games. His 1.19 points per game is second behind Crosby among the 594 players who have played at least 400 games since 2006 and 2007. Crazy. Coming at number 13, I have Jack Eichel. Now, Eichel, who is Sabres captain, of course, tied for 10th in scoring last season with 78 points in 68 games. The 24-year-old center scored 82 points in 77 games in 2018-2019 and has scored 337 points in 354 NHL games. That's really impressive for who is the only standout on that team. Now, at number 12, I have Braden Point, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Point was 1 point behind Kucherov in playoff scoring last season with 33. In 23 games after the 24-year-old center scored 64 points in a 66-game regular season. Now, he's a third-round pick by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the 2014 draft, but Point scored 92 points in 79 games 2018-2019 season. So at number 13, at number 12, I have Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now moving up, number 11. Number 11, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Number 11, we have Austin Matthews. Okay, I hate to say this, but a little bit of a downslide this past season. He scored 158 goals in 282 games since the 23-year-old was selected by Toronto with the number 1 overall pick in the 2016 NHL draft. He is second in goals, and in that span, Ovechkin, and scored an NHL career high of 47 goals last season, one short of tying Pasternak and Ovechkin for the NHL lead. So I expect more from this guy. I really do. And at number 11, he didn't not quite crack the top 10. Don't be bummed out, Toronto fans, but it's okay. I see a lot of him doing well this upcoming season with a much talented squad. So number 11, Austin Matthews. And when I get back from the break, I will talk top 10. Be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Thursday, December 17th, 2020 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by, of course, yours truly, the king of the ice himself, Philly Pete. And again, we're live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Hope everyone out there is having a fantastic Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning, wherever you may be, traveling to your loved ones' houses for the holiday season, as we are right around the corner to Christmas. And again, just be careful and be safe with whatever you do during this upcoming holiday season. Of course, always wear a mask and always sanitize yourself during these troubling times. But this is the holiday season. Let's be happy and merry as we should. Now, getting back in the top 10. All right, coming in at number 10 for me is Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins. A four-time Selke Trophy winner, voted as the top defenseman forward in the NHL. Bergeron also helped the Bruins win the Stanley Cup in 2011 and reached the Cup final in 2013 and, of course, last year in 2019. The 35-year-old is third in Bruins history in games, which was 1,089 games, fifth in goals, 352, in assists, 517, and sixth in points with 1,089. Unbelievable numbers for Bergeron. He scored 56 points in 61 games last season and has scored at least 30 goals in 4 of the past 5 seasons, all after his 30th birthday. So I expect more of Patrice in the upcoming season. Cracking into the number 9 spot of Artemi Panarin of the New York Rangers. Panarin was also third in the voting for the Hart Trophy last season, and now it's his first on a 7-year contract with the Rangers. Young kid, he's in his prime, 29-year-old left winger, scored 95 points in 69 games. He tied with Pastrnak for third in NHL points and led forwards with a plus 36 rating. His points obviously have increased in each of the past 3 seasons. Now, Panarin also won the Calder Trophy, voted as the NHL Rookie of the Year about 5 years ago in 2015-2016 season. Now, coming in at number 8, I have Patrick Kane. Okay, 8th overall in the NHL with 84 points in 70 games last season, after he was 3rd in 2018-2019 season with 110 points. All right, this is what happens. A 3-time Stanley Cup champion with the Blackhawks. He's 32 years old. He's getting older. Still can produce, but that's what happens. You get older, and you start to slide down a little bit. But the 32-year-old right wing is one of the 4 to score at least 1,000 points with the Blackhawks. He was 1,022 in 973 games with Chicago. Crazy stats here. At number 7, I have another Bruin that cracked my top 10 list. I have David Pastrnak, Mr. Pasta himself. He's 24 years old. He's 3rd in the NHL with 155 goals in 293 games over the past 4 seasons. His goals obviously have increased in 4 straight seasons, basically 10 more than the previous year in 66 games in 2018-2019 and at least 70 last season. So he is on the rise. I mean, it's tough that he's going to be out for the first couple of weeks, obviously for an injury for the Bruins. But again, he obviously cracks my top 10 for sure. And, there you have it. That's absolutely how you have it there. At number 6, I have Nikita Kucherov. Kucherov helped the Lightning obviously win the Stanley Cup. And last season, by leading the NHL with 34 points and 25 postseason games, which is unreal. Another young kid, he's still 27 years old. He's tied with McDavid for the second most regular season points in the NHL the past 2 seasons, scoring 213 in 150 games. That's unbelievable. He also won the Hart Trophy and Art Ross Trophy in 2018-2019 when he had 128 points in 82 games. Very, very impressive. So here we go. Top 5. And at number 5, I want to start out with Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers. He obviously won the Hart Trophy and Art Ross last season, scoring 110 points in 71 games, topping his previous NHL career of 105 points in 82 games in 2018-2019. Another young kid, 25 years old, scored at least 70 points in 4 straight seasons and is a point-per-game player with 422 in 422 games. So at number 5, I have Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers. At number 4, Sidney Crosby. Crosby scored 47 points in 41 games last season. The Penguins center also missed 28 games following a surgery on his core muscle in mid-November. But Crosby has won the Stanley Cup as Penguins captain 3 times, Conn Smythe Trophy, voted Stanley Cup Finals, Stanley Cup Playoffs MVP each of the past 2 championships. He's won the Hart Trophy and Rocket Richard Trophy, goal-scoring leader, of course, and Art Ross at least twice. Getting up there in age, like I said, with Malkin, 33 years old, scored 1,263 points in 984 games, averaging 1.28 points a game and 189 points in 168 playoff games. So there you have it. there you have it. I mean, simple as that. So at number 4, Sidney Crosby, I have from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Top 3, at number 3, Alex Ovechkin, of course. He does crack my top 3. Ovechkin, who is, of course, the Caps captain, 8th with 906 goals, 2 behind Mark Gartner for 7th, 11 behind Phil Esposito for 6th, and 25 behind Marcel Dion for 5th in history. A 35-year-old left wing tied Boston Bruins right wing pasta with 48 goals. Ovechkin's record, 9th time winning the Rocket Richard Trophy. It's insane. He needed 2 goals for his 9th 50-goal season, which would have tied Wayne Gretzky and Mike Bossy for the most in the NHL history, which is crazy. This is why he's in my top 3. And another reason why I think the Capitals can make a really decent run again to the postseason. So at number 3, I got Alex Ovechkin. At number 2, Nathan MacKinnon, Colorado Avalanche. Yes, he does crack the top 2. MacKinnon was 4th in the NHL last postseason with 25 points, playing 15 games, and was 5th in the regular season with 93 points in 69 games. He was the Avalanche's leading scorer by 43 points, and the 25-year-old, again, he's another young guy for this young and talented Avalanche squad as is. He's on pace to set an NHL career high for points in a season, but his 99 points in 2018-2019 remains his all-time best. So at number 2, Nate MacKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche. And without further ado, the number 1 overall forward that I truly love, Connor McDavid. Step on down. You're the next contestant on Price is Right. Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers, 2nd in the NHL last season with 97 points in 64 games. The Oilers captain won the Hart Trophy, voted NHL MVP in 2016-2017 when he scored 100 points in 80 games. Topped that in each of the next 2 seasons, winning the Art Ross twice, first with 108 points in 82 games in the 2017-2018 season, and then with 116 points in 78 games last season, 2018-2019. The 23-year-old is entering his 5th season as the Oilers captain, and he should stay like that for years to come. He is going to be the man, the myth, and the legend in Edmonton for years to come, and that's why my overall number 1 spot, Connor McDavid, top forward in the NHL. Keep doing what you're doing, my man. So there you have it. Now, last but not least, let's get into, well, again, those that are tuning in to today's episode of Pete's Power Plays, I did mention before the show that Mike Williams is out. Keenan Allen is a game-time decision, but if he were to play, he would be limited on the field. So I don't really see much of him being on the field tonight. It's tough. It's tough to, especially if you have him in fantasy leagues, it's tough to assume what he'll do because he's not healthy. He is not healthy with that hamstring. This is why you have to pick up guys, the receiver 3 and the receiver 4. All right, you have Guyton and you have Guyton and you have Tyron Johnson as well. So those are 2 receivers that will help out big time for Herbert. You also have Hunter Henry. Eckler is a full go for tonight as well. So if you're trying to get scraps to put in your lineups, because I know there's a lot of injuries this season, look out for Guyton and Tyron Johnson as well. So those are going to be big receivers, and of course Raiders don't have some key defenders as well. So once again tonight for my daily fantasy football, my player locks, of course, it hasn't changed. Justin Herbert and Derek Carr and Darren Waller. So once again, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Darren Waller. It's exactly why you got to keep these guys, quarterbacks, on these Thursday night games. And of course, like every Thursday, I will be giving out a free fantasy Thursday night football daily fantasy for FanDuel. So right now, just if I will tweet this out, but right now the MVP is Austin Eckler. Your flex spots tonight: Josh Jacobs, Justin Herbert, Jalen Guyton, again a player I just mentioned to pick up, and Nelson Aguilar. So once again, this is a cash game lineup that I will be giving out to everybody. Once again, MVP Austin Eckler, flex Josh Jacobs, Justin Herbert, Jalen Guyton, and Nelson Aguilar. So again, put that lineup in. I will tweet that out as well. Once the game gets close, about an hour to kick off, I will post it out. So again, just this is big. This is absolutely big. So there you have it. And last but not least, all right, final segment of the day. Last 5 minutes with you guys. I'm going to go over player projections and top 5s for each position when you go into your semifinals for fantasy football here. And again, those that have signed up for my NHL season package, you guys rock. I mean, I had about the past 2 weeks now, since the beginning of December started, I had 75 of you already sign up. So this is insane. The community of Philly Pete is growing and growing by the day, so don't miss your chance to not only really get 4 or 5 packages in one, but you're getting the NHL season package, NHL playoffs, my Stanley Cup futures, the rest of the season of NFL DFS lineups for FanDuel and DraftKings, and I do playoff lineups for FanDuel and DraftKings as well. You're getting 5 for the price of 1, half off for the entire month of December. You have 2 weeks left, ladies and gentlemen, because once January 1st hits, that is back to the normal price of the package. Of course, I still do month packages if you want to sign up for the month, but this is the package that everyone is taking advantage of right now. It is half off. This is my holiday gift to you out there. All right, so just sign up today. All right, follow me at the Real Pete Tooch. I will, DM me with anything that you need in regards to fantasy football, my packages. I'll talk to you through it. Everything is going to be good to go. And again, take advantage of it because, like I said, since the month of December started, I had 75 extra clients sign up with me for the month, and we're only halfway through December. So I can only imagine those of you tuning in that want to be a part of Philly Pete and my success. Again, 85.8 units 2 years ago in capping. Last year, 132.1 units. Yes, numbers and units don't lie overall. We are smashing records as we speak. And clients and current clients as well from the past 2 seasons that have been on board with me are grandfathered in, and I'm giving them the deal as well. So everyone's been rocking and rolling. Everyone's been winning money, and let's keep rocking and rolling. So again, take advantage to that discount right now to the end of the month. So rundown, top 5 quarterbacks to start for this weekend, and if you have them, start them. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers. Number 2, Justin Herbert. Again, Herbert should be in everybody's lineup tonight, no matter what. No matter if you have 2 of your receivers out, they still have weapons on that Chargers team. Justin Herbert, number 2. Number 3, Kyler Murray. Number 4, Lamar Jackson. And number 5, Tom Brady. Again, those are my top 5. Mahomes and Tannehill, 6 and 7 for me when it comes into Sunday's NFL. Receivers, top 5 receivers. Devontae Adams, no-brainer. Tyreek Hill, no-brainer. Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, and DeAndre Hopkins. That should be your top 5. Notable mentions, Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans, and DK Metcalf, rounding out your top 8 receivers for Sunday. Top running backs, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Mike Davis does crack my top 5, and Jonathan Taylor. Okay, notable mentions as well, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, and Nick Chubb. Okay, those round out the top 8 for player projections. Tight ends, no-brainers here. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, like I just mentioned, put him in your lineups tonight. Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, and Robert Tonyan. Yes, Robert Tonyan did make the cut of my top 5 tight ends to start. Notable mentions here, Rob Gronk and Eric Ebron of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, last but not least, the defense. All right, defense obviously plays a part in fantasy football as well and getting that best lineup out. Pittsburgh defense overall number 1. Rams, again, they play the Jets. All right, I was going to flip-flop. I kind of do like the Rams ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers here, but I like Pittsburgh at number 1. I like the Rams at number 2. I like Buffalo at number 3. They play the lowly Denver Broncos out there. Number 4, I love the Cleveland Browns. And at number 5, the San Francisco 49ers. Notable mentions, Indianapolis and Arizona. Okay, and kickers to round out the show, Justin Tucker, no-brainer. Tyler Bass, Daniel Carlson, who I have in multiple leagues, and I am starting fully tonight. I expect him to get some field goals for this squad. Mason Crosby and Rodrigo Blankenship. Harrison Butker is a notable mention, and Zane Gonzalez of the Arizona Cardinals. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my week. I'm heading to the weekend here. Hope everyone has a phenomenal weekend. Rest of your week, stay safe, wear a mask, and I will be back Tuesday. Simple as that. All right, guys, I'll talk to you then. See ya.